Celtics are on at 7, I think.
All right. Well, make sure you guys to appreciate Vinny sticking around with us. Make sure you check out the Creep Off, for God's sake, and vote for Vinny.
Thank you, Mike.
I second that. Yes.
So I take it you're referring to the great Joe Matarese.
Yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am.
Joe Matarese was on with Kevin Brennan. Yeah, it was just Friday, wasn't it? Just a couple days ago.
Yes, it was. All our words colliding. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I actually sent Hackrat a bunch of clips from Joe Matarese's podcast that I don't know if we'll get to. If we go long on this, we might end up just saving those for next week. Because the second I get done stamping those, Hackrat goes, "You got to check out Matarese on Kevin Brennan." I was like, "Oh fuck!" And I hate Kevin Brennan. I think his shtick is very old and tired and gimmicky and lazy. Yeah. So I'm no fan of his. I know you're not either, really, Vinny.
No, not really. He's the genuine article. That's what he is.
He seems like kind of a piece of shit, but.
And I mean, does he make me laugh every now and again? I don't watch his show, but I've seen clips where he has made me laugh.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shit on that way. I just think his general perspective is phony. Like, if he has decided something needs to be this way for whatever his agenda is, that's the way it is, and he'll gaslight everybody and yell at them until they agree. It's pretty stupid, and it's annoying.
So I agree, and I think usually his show is very stale and tired and lazy. But having said all of that, I think he actually did a good job with Joe Matarese.
Oh, good.
And I was like nodding in agreement as I watched this, where I'm like, Joe, please listen to Kevin. He's actually giving you good advice. So we've been following Matarese, Vinny, since he came back about, I don't know, 3-4 months ago.
He's back doing a show?
He does a podcast again. And, well, listen to this. So he comes back. he comes back and he says, "Listen, guys, I'm doing things different this time.
Okay.
I got a studio. I got a producer. We're doing half an hour. Long form, that's no good. That's out. We're doing half an hour, and we're focusing on one topic the entire episode." That's what he said. And he did a monologue. He did like a late night monologue to start the show.
Yeah, that's what Brendan Schaub just did for his show. He spent the entire time talking about buying a gun and if he's ever shot one.
And then he just
do one thing for an hour. It's perfect.
So he did a monologue at the beginning of all this new format that he has. So by week 2, monologue gone, scrapped. that was out. And the best part is he did one and edited it out. We could tell through context that he removed it from the episode of episode 2. Then by
week, did you callbacks to it even though they took it out?
by week 4 or 5. So in the original podcast, he's like, "We're not doing guests. We're not having comics on. Too many podcasts are doing that." By week 5, so he has guests on. They're just talking comedy, bullshitting. He's completely abandoned the format he had 3 weeks in. So Kevin Brennan has gotten into his ear and is trying to show him the light. And that's what we have today.
Yes, buckle up.
Hot dog, help a moron. What's a hot dog? Help a moron. One's pink, neat, the other just stinks. Let's all watch them fail at comedy. Hot dog morons. Hot dog morons.
I forgot we had to sit through hack rides.
Yes! Let's see, Craig. Oh, you're up, Craig. Let's see what you got. This one's called Trolling.
Okay, yeah. So this is Kevin talking about the obvious with Joey.
As everybody was.
So what else? I don't know. What else is up with Shuley? I haven't seen the guy in a while.
Shuley's a piece of shit. Shuley's a piece of shit. So
okay. Kevin was good in this, but he's still the same old Kevin Brennan. Where it's like he has 3 or 4 axes to grind in every episode. But
is this the part we're supposed to agree with, Mike, or what are we doing?
No. Well, sort of. You'll see.
It's confusing.
They troll Stuttering John all the time. So I didn't. I know you knew both of them. I assumed you knew both of them because, I knew you did that Artie Lang stuff. You guys are all involved with the Artie Lang stuff.
Yeah. So what did they troll Stuttering John for?
It started out maybe as a goof, and now it's big business. Now
I think just
everyone's
about everything, right? I mean,
everyone's making allegedly a lot of
Yeah.
money trolling Stuttering John.
Just
But
they
now we
make
get
they make money trolling people.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I like
How?
that we're getting into Joe raising an eyebrow. Like, But this is where Kevin's retarded. I forgot about this clip. This is where Kevin's a moron.
Uh-huh.
He focuses so much on people's money. And like, I think because of Kevin, sometimes we get comments like I made a proclamation, Vinny. I don't know if you heard about this. I said, we are done with Stuttering John. We did a show where we buried him, never talking about him again. That lasted about a month and a half, basically.
Better
So
than
now
most,
when-
Mike. That's better than most people who try to get out of the Stuttering John business.
Yeah, but like there are weeks where I do kind of make it. I try not to talk about him every time he catches my eye because he is interesting, but I think it gets exhausting.
I'm going to tell you
But-
something. Can I say one thing?
Please.
I also try not to watch John at all. I could give a fuck about John. I had enough of him in real fucking life that I
Sure.
was done. I turned on his show for the first time in months yesterday. I turned on his show to his channel, and the first thing that pops up is, and Vinny Paulino, he's a scumbag, by the way. Did I point out that guy is a scumbag? Fuck Vinny Paulino. And I heard he wants to talk about me. He's going to talk about me some more. I suggest he doesn't.
Walk away, Vinny. Turn around and walk the other way.
It was fucking kismet because I don't care about him and I don't listen to him, but I turned it on and he fucking somehow sensed it to send me a message.
No,
Shut
Vinny
the
has.
fuck
I mean,
up
I'm sorry,
about it.
Vinny. Stuttering John has his like 4 or 5 straw men that he talks. Now it's Kate Meany's one of them. Kevin Brennan, Carl, and Shuley obviously would be the big ones.
Yeah.
You to an extent, Bob Levy, all these people that he just has these straw man
Casey
arguments.
Armstrong.
Casey. He rants to himself at his computer about them. He plays clips and argues with them over and over. So it does get exhausting, but I do think he's an intriguing character, and that's why we talk about him, because I find him interesting.
Well, I brought that up just to say one thing.
Oh, yeah.
I will be talking about Stuttering John at the WATP live show in Tampa. You get your tickets now.
Oh, yes. Please make sure you do that. My buddy Royce will be there, too. Royce and Mersh from ROTC. So go check them out.
WATP live for tickets, kids.
Yeah, make sure you do that.
I mean, I get trolled a ton.
Oh, hold on. I just wanted to say one other thing. And that's that Kevin has this delusion that like, and Kevin's projecting here. That's a word that gets thrown out a lot in the Dabbleverse, is projection. Kevin's projecting here by saying like, all these people make money just from shitting on someone. That's how Kevin makes money. His fans throw these dollar bills at him and say, hey, what do you think about Stuttering John? What do you think about Carl? What do you think about Ray DeVito? Are you gonna rant about Chad today, Kevin? Like, that's what Kevin does. And I get comments, we get comments here, like anytime we talk about John now, where it's like, oh, Mike just trying to make money off of Stuttering John. I don't make more or less money in a month where we do or don't talk about Stuttering John.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the best month we had on YouTube was the month we took off from John. And that's not always the case. Like, we definitely post, like the videos we post with Stuttering John in the title and in the thumbnail definitely do better than a lot of our other stuff. But it's not how people make a living. I guess Shuley would be the exception. But like, people throw Carl into this mix. Carl does 2 other shows where they never mention, or 3 other shows where they never mention John.
Yeah, but
like,
he plays
it's not
the
how people
mandolin
make
like
a
a
living.
douchebag.
What's that?
Yeah, but he plays the mandolin like a douchebag.
That's
and
true.
his-
And his
and
wife
his-
makes him take naps. Yeah,
Yeah, and his wife cares about him. Gross. Ugh.
yeah, that was
Fuck
disgusting.
loser.
But his wife wanted him to get some sleep.
They should just divorce you and take all your money. That's what women are for in their life.
Well, and she's older than him. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's a real
That's
winter
gross.
spring relationship. They're so much older than each other.
Yeah. I like that. I like this idea because essentially what John and Kevin are saying by making fun of that clip is that like young, hot, successful Carl should have an equally young
know.
wife.
Yeah, no, he's dating down. He should be with a model. What are they saying? You seen this man? She is
Yeah.
way over his head.
Yeah. It's like when people used to look at Kurt Warner back in the day, like, that's his wife. That guy's he's a quarterback who's played in the Super Bowl, and his wife looks like a bowling ball with big earrings.
The modern Hugh Jackman. Yes, Hugh Jackman's
Yeah.
wife. Oh my God.
Exactly. I forgot about him.
Yeah, Carl and Hugh Jackman. I do think of in the same breath.
Same guy. It's the same guy.
But yeah, sorry. No. So now we hear Joe's ears start to perk up. He's like, "What? You can make money by getting trolled?"
Yeah.
How? I mean, I get trolled a ton. I mean, not
look
as much
on the
anymore.
screen. Look on the screen.
Let's see what the screen says.
No,
This
see,
is
look
great.
at the top where it says melted.
Oh, this is just good podcasting. Can
this is-
someone submit this to Cringe of the Week, please?
Or for an award. One of the two.
Yeah, an Oscar,
Screen says,
perhaps.
No, see, look at the top where it says Meltis Heavy Gay. It's right next to it. What does it say?
What are you talking about? I don't see that.
$9.99 below. It's actually at the bottom of it.
Oh, the scroll.
No, the yellow.
I
Just read it to him,
am also
assholes.
a writer of prose and highest caliber.
No, look at the
What?
top where it says the guy's name.
Well, I gotta say, I listen. I can't see either. So to those that just listen to the podcast, I mean, the reveal is going to be so worth it once they finally get Joe to read this.
Meltis Heavy Gay.
And what's it say next to him?
Nothing. I just see a picture of him.
It says
no,
$9.99.
Oh, what a
It says
reveal! That was
This is like-
Kevin's. That was Kevin's big "fuck you" moment, like dropping his dick on the table. Someone just sent me $10, Joe. That's how.
Like showing my grandpa's smartphone.
Yeah, that's how.
Kevin swinging the smallest penis you could ever have in Joe's face. Kevin pulling out his micro penis and go, "How do you make money trolling? Look at this $9 someone sent me."
This is $10 worth of dick that he's just waving at everybody.
This is it's a fucking vagrant handing you his business card saying, "Let me know if you ever want to play with the big boys."
It's like the one guy with the sign. Somebody hands him a $20 bill. Then he looks back at the other boys. He's like, "Aha!"
They
know,
get-
I
that's
guess
how they-
I can-
Joe,
right.
listen, Joe, when you were doing podcasts with Artie Lang and you were open for Sebastian Maniscalco, even you couldn't envision income like this. Like, he thinks he's fucking Zuckerberg showing us his portfolio.
Make money.
People write in and troll.
People troll him, and they give you money to insult him or something. I still haven't figured it all out. Mel's gonna explain it to me over the weekend.
That's
but,
I never thought about that. That people will give you money and then tell you to just start talking shit about that exact person. That's what
You
you're
never
saying.
thought of that, Joe? You're the original guy.
Did they have a show called Fixing Him or something like that? Fixing Joe?
Fixie Joe, right?
Yeah, that was the whole. That's how I know who Mike David from Red Bar is. Like, if you really want to break it down in that way, like this show exists because Joe Matarese got trolled. It started a whole brand. And Joe's like, I never thought maybe I could cash in off this. You never thought of that, Joe? In all the iterations of your show, you never thought all these people are making fun of me. Maybe I can monetize that in some way.
Well, that tells you why he's perfect and why people are making fun of him, because he does not have that concept in his brain.
No, it never
Those are-
clicks in.
Yeah, those are the best people to watch, because the people who take themselves so seriously are always the best at this, are always the funniest unintentionally.
Yeah. And it's
That's
why
where the real comedy is.
I do think it's why Stuttering John gets stale at times, because he's certainly not aware at all, but he is aware of how, like, he's a greedy guy. So he sees super chats coming in and is at times like, oh, well, if I yell at the Uber Eats driver or whatever, then people are going to send me money to make fun of me. Like, he is aware of that, and that's why I think it's gotten... I think even Carl has said that, too, where he's tried to take a break from John, because it's become performative with him a little bit.
Yeah. And, you know, Hack Ride made a really funny point before we went live, and I want to give him the credit for this. He said what Carl ought to do is start being performative so John reacts to it. Because that's the only thing that's left. What's left? It's so fucking boring with this guy.
Carl
It is
wearing his
boring.
cow bikini on the show.
You know, still the funniest thing that ever happened was John getting a copy of that picture. It's the funniest thing John's ever done. I'm still laughing about it.
Oh, do you mean Lady K?
Yes, sir, I do.
Can I ask you this? I always mean to ask Carl this, and I always forget. Why is he Lady K Mart? I understand that K Mart is like a clearance.
It's because
Sure.
John's a hack.
I just never understood the combination of those two names, Lady K Mart.
Yeah, because Kmart's supposedly shitty and shut down and bad.
Sure.
So he's trying to throw shade on Carl as being bad and
But
low rent.
Lady K is, I guess, like a reference to lady, or it's essentially that he's a lady. But why Lady K? Lady K, Lady A, Lady K Mart doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'm just dissecting it too much. But
It has
you need to have a brain that's pickled by Coors Light, and then you would
okay,
understand.
all right. I'll have a few today.
So the recipe to understand that joke is starting off with 165 IQ, adding in at least 8 cores at the bar
Okay.
every day for 20 years.
All right, I'll do my studies then. Back to Joe and Kevin.
This one's called Studio is Dead.
Oh, so this was a big reveal. This was very sad. So Joe, the whole thing was like his studio. This time it's different. I got a studio and a producer. And the producer was like kind of a big part of his show. He would try to get him in the mix a lot. Mike Albanese, I think his name was. And this was a reveal that will break the hearts of Matarese fans everywhere.
Okay, Joe. When we got you here, so now you're doing live. You're doing live streams, right?
Yesterday was my first live stream ever. I've been doing a podcast from a studio, and the cost.
Yeah, but that costs money, right?
It was very expensive. So I was like, listen, unless I get fucking Bill Cosby to come out of retirement as my guest, I'm gonna do it remotely.
What an odd example to bring up.
It would take a lot to get me to tune into Joe's show, but if you had Bill Cosby,
Sandusky wasn't available.
That'd be great if that was the one interview Cosby would do. Or I guess Cosby did do an interview in fucking Ohio. The greatest thing, we listened to this on the Kirk Minahan show when it happened. Bill Cosby did an interview with some like AM radio station in Ohio. And the natural joke was always like, imagine if someone had Cosby on and just like asked him about the Cosby show, like had no intention of getting to the bottom of his crimes. That's what this guy did. Like Cosby did the interview and he's like, so what do you think of the current political climate, Bill? What do you have any thoughts on that?
I would ask him how the kids are doing. Did Rudy put any money on your commissary? Some shit like that.
Yeah, so maybe Joe could do that. But yeah, the Cosby thing was an interesting mindset. But
Fixing Bill would be the name of the show.
You ever try Adderall, Bill?
Signed up for Ecamm Live.
No, it keeps him awake.
All right, this next one's called Retire.
Oh, so I think if I remember right, Kevin is this is where the career advice starts, I think.
Anyway, my point is,
Why am I an asshole? Is your point?
why you keep doing it? Why don't you just retire like Mike K and that guy who was on Mark Maron's show? Like, just you don't have to retire doing stand up, but like the podcast thing is like, how many different versions of a podcast have you done? At least 10, right?
Lots of different versions. It's almost gotten, like I'm a parody of myself when it comes to
right.
podcasts.
It's like as soon as I saw it, I mean, the reason I sent you the super chat the other day was because I could, and I don't know how you got monetized so quickly, but I'm watching you and I'm like, now Joe's going live from his house because I just assumed that you were gonna be like, I can't keep paying for studio time when nobody's watching. I'm not making any money. So
and I'm paying for someone to book me guests. That's one of my other.
Oh, you're paying a booker too?
Yeah, I've been having all.
Joe's most recent guest was fucking New Jersey radio DJ named Vinny Palumbo or something like that. He had Chris Scopo on. You shouldn't be paying. These are guests I could get, Joe. You shouldn't be paying someone to do that.
I need to give this guy a call. This guy's just giving out money to producers for doing nothing. No, the demon is at your service.
You're being very kind. People don't realize Mike was actually trying to get Vinny Palumbo. He just sent it to the wrong email today. Sorry, everybody.
Vinny, that's why I had you on to talk about this Matarese stuff. I thought you'd have some insight.
I had to put in the private chat. It's not Palumbo. What's going on? That's not Palumbo.
The last three guests have all had like 275,000 Instagram followers. And you know what? It doesn't get you any more views.
Not always.
Even though they're in the contract, they're in the verbal contract. They're supposed to.
They have to repost.
They're supposed to repost.
This is a yearly realization Joe has that, and it always takes him by surprise. No matter how much money I sink into this horse shit, people don't find me entertaining. It's weird that Joe has to keep realizing no matter how much money I spend on the podcast, I'm still void of anything interesting to say.
What I find shocking is he spent money. He's had 10 versions of a show, and he hasn't spent the money on buying his own fucking equipment yet. That's shocking to me. You've done 10 different podcasts, and you're going to a studio and paying them rent. You don't know how to fucking turn on a microphone yourself.
Well, and this is where I say Kevin did a decent job, because he does get Joe to admit where, like, Joe's like, listen, I know I'm not the greatest podcaster in the world, but, like, that's what you have to do, which he doesn't understand. You don't have to do that if you're bad at it. Like, if you are, I mean, objectively bad, if the audience that you have keeps telling you, we're not watching this, like the live stream that I pulled clips from that we'll probably get through next week, it had the live stream that they're referencing had 111 views.
Ooh.
Well, I'm just saying, like, this
some
is
DJ
not,
Electro numbers.
that's my point is,
Gotcha.
Joe's a guy, because at one point, Kevin asked him, he's like, oh, I'm surprised you got monetized so quickly. I guess he doesn't realize Joe has had this YouTube channel for a decade.
Right. Like, he's just changed the name of it a couple times.
He was early to podcasting. And he keeps thinking everything else is the problem. The way it's marketed, the way it's put together on social media, the way it's clipped. He doesn't realize there seems to be one common thread throughout all the versions of his show.
And there's another parallel here to Stuttering John, because other people seem to make money off of him. Like the shows that do specials on him seem to do very well. He just can't do it. This is the Stuttering John disease.
Right. Well, I mean, Porcelain did 3 brilliant documentaries about Joe Matarese. And Joe thinks, oh, the reason that did well and my podcast doesn't is because that guy knows the algorithm. And it's like, no, Porcelain was very funny and made you interesting, something you've never been able to do, Joe.
That
Yeah, the
algorithm
last
is
guy I
the
had
greatest
on.
scapegoat for failure.
It is, yeah. Well, and I'll tell you why, Vinny, because it works. Like I said at the beginning of this show, like, we started getting more views once we realized you have to title the show a certain way. Once you need thumbnails, all that sort of stuff. Then it gives people this false hope of like, oh, if I just do that. But there's also an element of like, I don't have millions of viewers now just because I corrected those things. You still have to grow your audience, you know?
Yeah, of course. But the other part of it is there's an element of truth that people like him really believe, because the algorithm picks up some terrible shit. And you look at it, you go, oh, the algorithm picked that up. There's things that you know that the algorithm grabbed that's terrible. So he sees that and goes and uses that to justify him continuing to try.
Well, here's what's funny about Joe is he hasn't realized his main problem is like his audience is entirely trolling him. And I've now had you and Cardiff on, and I talked to Carl maybe on WATS or something. And to each of you, I mentioned that Joe Matarese was doing a podcast again. And all 3 of you were like, oh, really? I didn't know that. Now, Carl in particular, his job is to know that.
Yeah.
That some asshole who gets mocked on the internet is doing a podcast. And Carl was literally like, I have no idea. Joe doesn't even market himself to the people that would be interested in listening to his horse shit.
I'm really shocked too. I assumed that like when Joe Matarese started his podcast again, an alarm went off like Ghostbusters in Carl's
That's what I'm
house.
saying is you would
And
think
Jenny's
like
we got one.
Right, yeah. Fucking Mike David and ROTC and Carl would see the signal go up in the sky.
They'd fight each other to get to the computer.
Yeah.
The name of his podcast should be Matters Least.
Ew.
Thank you, DJ
Like, what are you waiting a month?
You're
Wait a
welcome.
month to repost because it's like
Yeah, but
people
they
wanna
don't.
know.
They don't care. They don't. It doesn't matter.
This next one's called The Deal.
I told
Hey,
my
but where'd you find this guy? And why is he spending a lot of money? And he's
Yeah.
he's probably gonna get.
I gotta tell you, hold on. This one needs a setup.
Okay.
So, Joe, we talked about Brendan Schaub's special.
Mm-hmm.
For all of its faults, I bet it cost less than $100,000 to make. Would you say that's fair, Vinny?
That special, from what I just saw, at the most, like, it used relatively good cameras. The audio is from the board. I could tell that. That was a $30,000 job at most. Like, we're talking renting equipment.
Okay, well, some people have higher aspirations and would like to be better than Gringo Poppy. So obviously, you got to spend money to make money.
Sure.
So Joe shot a special recently. Listen to what's happening here. This is, I won't set it up more than that, and we'll see if you pick up on what Joe has fallen into.
This guy, and why is he spending a lot of money? And he's probably gonna get nothing back.
Yeah, what does he expect in return?
He got a grant, so it wasn't his money. He got a COVID grant.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, like a PPP loan or something.
He got some sort of grant where he was able to do live projects for like 4 of his clients.
Jeez,
He's probably
okay.
talk about scarier than filing bankruptcy if you're a comedian. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, so Joe found a benefactor, a guy who said, "I'm going to produce your special for you." I've given this enough of a. So you've seen my reaction, Vinny. What would you guess he spent on this fucking thing?
On Joe's special?
Yeah.
I'm gonna laugh and guess $10,000.
Vinny, I tried to even lead you. $100,000.
Okay. Okay, forgive me. You did. Forgive me. Wow, I'm dumb. But that's insanity. That is insane. $100,000 for real?
I like that you're even like, I'm going to guess high because it's Joe Matarese. 10 grand.
10 grand. I'm going to put 5 numbers together. That's going to blow your mind.
$100,000 they spent on Joe's special. That he got some grant from the government.
He's in New York.
PPP
right?
fraud.
Well, he's in New York. There's a thing that happened during COVID because our club got shut down for like a year and a half. We weren't allowed to operate at all. And there were some very interesting things because a lot of artists got together and they did this thing called Save Our Stages, which was a lot of money went to venues. I don't think we got any, unfortunately, but a lot of places got money to do stuff during COVID. So it doesn't surprise me that they found the money somewhere, especially if they were based out of New York.
Wouldn't that have to be an existing business? It's not just a guy being like, hey, I'd like to produce a terrible comedy special. Would you give me $100,000? What's
interesting is he probably got double that. He probably got way more money than that and spent $100,000 to justify the expenses, and then paid everybody or paid himself. But I
think we learn a little more. What's the next clip, Hack Ride? Because
it's called "This Is a Scam."
Yeah, I was worried it was something like that because I think here we start to hear the details of this deal. And I suspect perhaps it's a little too good to be true that some brave New Yorker is just like, Joe, listen, the pandemic may have killed a lot of people, but the one thing it revived is your career.
No one's going to give you 200. I'm saying no to anything lower than $250,000. And no one
That's
is
what he
giving
said?
That's what I said to him.
They're talking about selling the special. Joe is saying if anyone offered, if someone offered him $200,000, he would say no. It has to be minimum $250.
Because this is the thing, I have to, in our contract, I have to pay him back for the way they made the stage look, and and that LED wall. That's $30,000. So I have to pay him back.
What? It's $20 on Amazon. What are you doing?
Hey, Vinny, I forgot to tell you, by the way. Today's show, like we're giving you a lot of promotion for the creep off and everything. Today's show, it cost us $100,000. Don't worry about that money. But I just need you to know the StreamYard fee to have you on is like $30,000. So you're just gonna have to send me that if that's cool.
every time with you guys. Every time I'm on somebody's show, they send me a bill.
And we won't sell it for less than $300,000.
What's amazing, this has to be a scam, because if this dude bought an LED wall, like bought a wall and now owns it, and he just made Joe pay for it, that's the funniest goddamn thing I've ever heard.
So I suspect this guy, this mystery benefactor, spent nowhere near $100,000 to produce this special, and is gonna make Joe pay him money for the stage and the fucking lighting or whatever else.
This is quite the hustle. I'm in the wrong business.
Oh.
That's $30,000. So I have to pay him back that 30 grand before I see my 50%. And I didn't know that because I'm a fucking idiot and I couldn't afford to
You're
get
gonna end up in jail.
I couldn't afford getting a good entertainment lawyer.
The Fire Fest.
Wait, you
of
got to pay this guy 30 grand
comedy
before you
festival.
make any money?
For using
If
the
he
stage?
sells it. If not, if he doesn't sell it, I don't have to
Oh,
give
wait,
him
this
anything.
is like a bad.
Okay,
this is
like
like
so
a,
that's another aspect of the deal. If he doesn't sell it, Joe only has to pay this guy if he sells it. Now, I don't know a lot about the law. Or
It's on consignment.
I don't know a lot about contract negotiations or anything. But if Joe just said, I had no idea that this language about me owing $30,000, I had no clue that that was in there. Do you think it's possible that this guy's ripping him off? And there's maybe a lot of stuff in this contract that Joe doesn't know about.
I think he definitely got played here. This is silly. If I'm Joe and I'm having a legitimate meeting with this guy about producing a special, and this gets brought up in any way, I'm gonna say, well, what do I need an LED screen for?
I was
It's a comedy
surprised.
special. What do I need that for?
Yeah, I was surprised. It seemed Kevin's like underselling. Like Kevin made the joke, like you're gonna end up in prison, but I'm surprised Kevin's not like, Joe, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't think Kevin even knows what he's talking about, because I think if he did, he would be doing exactly what you just said.
Yeah, Kevin's hunting super chats. He's not really paying attention.
Sure, but it's mystifying to hear this man talk about. Yeah, it's literally someone describing to you. It's like if a good friend of yours, got mixed up in a Ponzi scheme, and they're describing it to you, saying, "No. It's the whole thing is like, basically, it's like." Costs me nothing, and if I get 10 people to sign up, then I'm making money doing nothing. You hear they're delusional, but you hearing it, you're like, oh God, you poor thing. What have you done?
Here,
and
let me show
Joe
you
doesn't
this
realize
chart.
he's describing to us a scam.
If he sells it, if not, if he doesn't sell it, I don't have to
oh,
give
wait,
him
this
anything.
is like a bad. This is
like a bad record deal.
Yeah,
like
bad
if you were
record deal, like
advanced-
you and Tom Petty back in the 80s.
like your advance was an LED of pictures of you as a child.
So if he sells it, the first money goes. Your first
Yeah.
30 grand goes back to him.
Let's put it this way: if he sells it for 50 grand and we have to split 25 grand each, I owe him
You owe him
$5,000.
$5,000.
Oh no, Joe.
Imagine if he sells it for $100. What do you owe him then, Joe?
So it
Give
completely
me this guy's
benefits.
address. I'm putting an offer together.
Yes, $50. Come on.
It completely benefits this guy to sell it for $40. Hey Netflix, I'll stop emailing you if you give me $20 to take this special.
He's got a new show called Robbing Joe.
and let's just say that this guy's right. He got a grant and spent the money from the grant, and he's still making this guy pay him $30,000 back. That's incredible.
This man is a hustler. We need this man's name. I want an interview.
So this man just stumbled into Joe's life and was like, hey, you know what? The government gave me funny money. They gave me just unlimited riches that I don't know what to do with. Why would I use them for myself in any way, Joe? I'd like to use them for you. And Joe was like, okay, let me sign. That sounds like a great deal. I can't believe Kevin Brennan's composure in this. It's like someone is describing to him dropping the atomic bomb on Japan. And he's like, ah, well, whatever. You're a fucking idiot.
You see this? I got $9.99 for this guy.
Oh, yes. We've had our differences with KB, but this next clip, I literally almost peed laughing. He's very funny.
Hey, we never said he's not funny. I said he can be unfunny at times, but
Yes. Here it is. It's called Sage Advice.
you got to try all these crazy things. That's the only reason I'm podcasting is you go, how do I build a following? And then, and I'm doing all those things. So
but you've done 10 different versions of the same podcast.
Right. What are you gonna do?
Maybe try to stick with one.
Well,
What
are you gonna do? Just keep trying different ones? I mean,
that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
They're basically the same.
Hold on. Anyone who watched these porcelain documentaries, the takeaway is, Joe, stick with one. And literally, Adam Hineker says to him, stick with one idea. And he goes, oh, so you mean try a different podcast every week? No, Joe. Fucking stick with something, Joe, for the love of Christ.
So you want me to make 1,000 of these?
No,
what? No, make one. So 1,000? No, one.
What are you gonna do? Just keep trying different ones? I mean,
that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Exactly.
They're basically the same. They're not. It's not like the name changes, but it's not like there's a huge.
I would say
Joe. That's way worse. Oh, I don't do anything different. I just make it more confusing and harder to find for people.
It's not like there's a huge concept here.
Really think about like what's important to you, what you would like to do, what you would like to talk about, and then pick a thing and stick with it for a while, because sometimes it can take a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what the I know.
Unless your thing was
Joe,
just
you
that
don't
it's a different
know.
Thing.
This is Joe's like a little kid that you've scolded and say, like, now say you're sorry, and the kid goes sorry. They don't know what that means. They don't know why they're saying sorry. They just know it gets them out of trouble. Joe right here is like, no, I know you're making a good point. Yeah. But he's not going to listen to that. He's going to keep changing the podcast every week. And just think of how much of a if I did the first episode of this and called it the Blind Mike Project, and then the second week it was called like Michael's Musings, and people would be like, oh well, certainly this is a different show. It can't be the same, because why would this asshole call it something totally else? It's totally different the next week.
Can I get a link to that? It sounds interesting.
Michael's Musings, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I know.
Unless your thing was just that it's a different thing every time, which could be interesting.
That's kind of what it is. It's ADD. It's all over the place, and it fits my personality. What would you say your show is? He just
said it was the same show. He's just changing the title. And then Adam Hineker says, oh, well, if you're doing something totally different every week and calling it a new thing, that could be interesting. And Joe's like, yeah, no, that's what I meant. Yep. No, what you just said is definitely what I do, even though it's not at all.
That's time to focus on
interesting.
Time to focus on Kevin here. This is
I just said that's why Joe's not interesting.
Right.
Because he just changes with the wind. Oh, that's what you want? Oh, yeah, I do that. It's not interesting.
Whatever you guys want, yeah.
It's ADD. It's all over the place, and it fits my personality. What would you say your show is?
Successful.
What's a hot dog? Couple more on. What's a hot dog? Couple more on.
Oh.
That was very fun. But here's where I'll defend Kevin. It's like, I think his show can be lazy and repetitive and all that. But like, he has an audience that seeks him out and likes his brand. Like, I think all Kevin does is shit on people and have a lot of the same recycled shit. But the people that like him enjoy him doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not a fan of his, but the people that like him are, obviously. So Kevin has found his lane, and he takes advantage of it. Well, so Joe's saying, like, well, what do you think you do? What's that, Vin?
He is successful.
Yeah, definitely.
I was agreeing with you. I'm sorry.
Bitch fest.
Yeah, no, like Kevin is good at that. Yeah, it's not for me. I'm surprised as many people like it as they do, but that's not for me to judge, like good for them.
There's so much success.